Okay, so these are my 5 people. Alright. Okay. So, how many of you have ever heard sharks referred to as man-eaters, or monsters, or cold-blooded killers, something like that? You have. So, you guys have probably heard this often in movies and in the media. On the other hand, how many of you have heard about how many sharks are killed each year by humans? You've heard about it? In general, you hear about that much less often, but in reality, we're actually a much bigger threat to sharks than they are to us. So, I've actually spent several years studying sharks. I've been very into studying them ever since I was a little kid, and now I'm a marine bio major, and so I'm learning a lot about the aquatic ecosystems and sharks' importance there. So it's actually very important that the public is informed about the true nature and behavior of sharks, and that they're very important predators in many marine ecosystems. The more you know, the more it's easier to take action when it's needed. So shark finning is one of the biggest threats to shark populations around the world right now, and it needs to stop, and that's what I'm going to focus on in this speech. So we're going to discuss the importance of sharks in ecosystems and the threats that shark finning poses, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what you can do to help. So to begin, I'll tell you a little bit about how the media has affected the fight to stop shark finning. The media has actually had a big impact, and not so good one actually. So the media tends to create this unnecessary hysteria about shark-related incidents. So in 2001, there was this Summer of the Shark in Time magazine, and it basically created this huge public fear of sharks that was actually really unnecessary. So according to George Burgess, a biologist at the University of Florida, in an article for the New York Times, these claims really had no support. This Summer of the Shark was actually an average year for the amount of shark attacks. So the media just kind of blew it out of proportion. So actually, according to National Geographic, out of the 375 known shark species, only 12 have been known to attack humans. So in reality, sharks really aren't these dangerous man-eaters. So because of the public's skewed view on sharks, people just don't tend to care about them, which is why it's so hard to create efforts to stop practices that are harming them. When people don't care about something, when people are afraid of it, they're not going to put in the effort to stop anything that's happening to that creature. So you may be wondering, why should I care about sharks? Why are they important? We're all kind of distant here in Wisconsin from sharks. You don't see them, you don't really hear about them so much. So you might wonder, why should I really care about this? So sharks are actually very important to us and to our planet in general. So they're apex predators, and they play a very important role in marine ecosystems. According to Oceana, sharks, when they're absent or when their populations decrease, you'll see an increase in their prey, so that'll be like herbivorous fish and a lot of other organisms, and when you see an increase in those populations, you'll see a decrease in vegetation, which can be really harmful to ecosystems. So you can even see these really complex interactions where when you lose sharks in an ecosystem, you'll eventually lose the entire coral reef, which is really bad. Mm-hmm. So keeping the importance of sharks in mind, we should discuss the threats that they are facing currently. So one of the biggest issues is shark finning. So according to the World Wildlife Fund, we kill about 100 million sharks per year many just for their fins. So basically shark finning is where fishermen will catch sharks and they're going to take them into the boat, and basically they just brutally cut off their fins. I actually have a picture here to show you. So basically what they do is they'll tend to cut off their primary dorsal fin, which is this here, and their pectoral fins, which are these here. And the problem is, after they do that, they're going to just set them back into the ocean alive, and the sharks have a very, very low, basically 0% of survival after that. So after their fins are cut off, they don't really move. They just sink to the bottom, and with most sharks, the way that they breathe, they have to pump oxygen over their gills, so they have to continuously swim. So when they sink to the bottom, they just suffocate. So it's basically this slow death, and it's just really inhumane. So actually, finning isn't just bad for sharks, it's bad for humans. So a study conducted by Mondo et al. In 2012 from the University of Miami has shown that shark fins contain really high levels of mercury and other heavy metals. So people are consuming these fins that are taken from the sharks in shark fin soup, which is why they are taken in the first place. And it's actually really bad for people. They're consuming these high levels of mercury. And they also contain certain neurotoxins that have been linked with Alzheimer's disease and other degenerative brain diseases. So it's really bad for people to take this stuff in, even. So now that you've been presented with the facts, you might be wondering what you can do to help in the fight against shark finning. So there are many things that you can do. So first off, never buy shark fin soup. That's the most basic thing that you can do. Also, if you know of any restaurants near you that serve shark fin soup, you can always talk to the manager there, present them with the facts, so that they'll be educated and maybe they'll take it off the menu. So also you can donate to organizations that are trying to put a stop to this, like Wild Aid or the Humane Society International. Also, it's good to spread the message on social media to raise awareness. So in conclusion, the public has a skewed perspective on sharks, and they're actually a very small threat to humans. Sharks are actually very important to food chains, and without them, many food chains and ecosystems would be falling apart or altered in some way. And sharks are actually really amazing creatures, and we can learn a lot from them. We just have to preserve them and keep them around for future generations to learn from them. So shark finning really needs to end because it benefits neither humans nor sharks. All the health problems that it'll cause in humans, and obviously it kills all the sharks. So please be a voice for sharks, as they are voiceless. That's it.
Yay.